12 years ago now, I had developed a low back injury. I'd kind of ignored it for a little while. I finally started seeing a chiropractor for it. He was treating it. Over the course of several years, it was just continuing to get worse. So at that time, it was probably about 3 years ago now, I had decided, well, I'll just get a second opinion on it, and I will go see a different chiropractor about it, which I did. He started treating it a little bit differently. I did start getting a little bit of relief out of it, but I was still in chronic low back pain pretty much on a daily basis. There were times when I could barely walk. I couldn't even bend over. It was a struggle to even want to stand up and get out of bed in the morning. So I kind of joked around sometimes with my friends saying that probably by the time I'm 50 or 60 years old, I'll probably be in a wheelchair. I joked around about it, but deep down inside, I was actually scared to death that I probably would be in a wheelchair at some point because of it. It was last summer, and I was just out for a jog, and I felt my back tweak a little bit, and I woke up the next morning. I took a step or two, and it dropped me to the ground. And it had never ever done that before, and it literally just scared me to death. So I had scheduled a chiropractor appointment probably within a few days of that, and I didn't really get much relief out of it at that point. So I was, at this point, I was code red, really just terrified at this point. It wasn't too much longer after that, probably within just a few days, that I had also got a full body massage. I already had one scheduled, so I went and got my massage, and lo and behold, she got into the side that was messed up, and I started getting a little bit of relief out of the massage. So it kind of started to make me think outside the box a little bit, and maybe think that this was something more of a muscular standpoint as opposed to being something structural. So I kind of started to take the initiative that I'm going to figure out how to beat this myself. Got to doing a little bit of digging, and I got on Instagram one night, and I was just looking for functional exercise, stuff like that. And one of the first things that popped up was functional patterns. So I clicked on the link, and I started watching just a couple videos of Nowdy, and I was intrigued and blown away by what I was seeing. It was nothing I'd never seen before. And I kind of blew it off. I was like, okay, well that was different. So then I started kind of going back to it daily, and it was probably a few days after I got on his Instagram page that he had posted his Power of Posture book. I was like, well, this is a sign. So I went ahead and just bought the book, and I started reading it, and things just kind of started to just make sense at that point. I started implementing the myofascial release. And once I started doing that, I started seeing some pretty noticeable results pretty quickly. I got to the end of his book, and I saw some of his references, so I bought the book, The Myofascial Trains by Thomas Myers, and I started diving into that, and then things really started to click and kind of make sense with the fascial lines and things like that. So I just kind of started diving into myofascial lines, trigger point therapy from that point with lacrosse balls. And this was probably July. I kind of started getting into the Power of Posture aspect of things. It was probably around November-ish of this past year that I kind of started diving into the Anatomy Trains by Thomas Myers. Probably right around that same time, right there, November, December, I just started hammering in on myofascial release daily, about the 10-week course that Nowdy has out there, and things just started taking off. And now I can say today that I still have a little bit of tightness, I guess you could say, in my back sometimes, probably just because my posture is still off a little bit. But for the most part, 12 years later, I am pretty much pain-free. I get out of bed up and at it pretty much first thing in the morning. I don't have that early morning struggle to get out of bed anymore. I just feel more loose, joyous, free. I don't have the struggle of, having to strain just to get up out of bed in the morning. So through functional patterns, Nowdy Systems is the way he implements things. It's pretty much led me to be pain-free in a matter of about 6 months' time of implementing his system. So I am eternally thankful for Nowdy, for what he's done for the fitness industry, for functional patterns, and he's pretty much given me my life back. And that's, there's no price tag on that. So Nowdy, thank you. So once I started diving into functional patterns, power of posture, even the 10-week, online course, I'm the kind of guy that I kind of want to take matters into my own hands. And I was so intrigued by what this system was and how it worked. Everything kind of came down to the finest of details from what I've learned here. And I've tried doing the stuff at home, and I kind of got to a point where I just wasn't quite feeling the connections the way that Nowdy was speaking of, on his Instagram videos or his Facebook page. So that really was a kind of a driving force for me, that I want to take the extra initiative to learn this. I want to not only be able to help myself, but I want to be able to help everybody else that I associate with on a regular basis, that they're also in pain. So I knew if I was going to take my education and my training to the next level, then I was going to have to, I make sure to go see an actual, practitioner. So I was on our Facebook, the doers page one day, and I had noticed that Frida was an FP practitioner, and she was kind of the closest to where I live. It was about an 8 or 9 hour drive where I was. So I knew right then that if I'm going to completely fix myself, and if I'm going to really understand how this system works, then I had to come see her. So we kind of got in contact on Facebook. We just kind of started messaging from there, and we kind of set up a date pretty quick to allow me to come up here and train with her. And it was probably as far as fitness goes, it was probably one of the best experiences I've ever had as far as my wealth goes. Just what I felt today, I've never felt contractions or connections like that before. I was always that guy that I wanted to be the biggest, baddest guy in the gym, doing the heavy leg presses, the heavy deadlifting or squatting. And what I experienced today with functional patterns training, I've never got any kind of contraction or connections like that out of anything before. We probably did a total of maybe 40 repetitions today, and I got more out of that than 12 years worth of the exercise that I used to do. So now, especially since I've discovered functional patterns, I've experienced it firsthand with Frida. It's really become more of just a lifestyle change at this point. Functional patterns training, the way it trains around your biological movement. There's no way at this point that I could go back to the way I used to lift with traditional squatting, deadlifting, isolation type exercises, because they don't train the body to work the way that you move, in nature biologically. So with the experience I had today with Free, it pretty much just locked it down that there really is no other logical way to train the human body other than through functional patterns, through the system that Nowdy has put together. So I can't wait to come back again, eventually get FP1 certified, maybe even sometime down the road, if it's possible, to get FP2 certified, and just try to help as many people as I can with the same philosophies, and just try to bring in as many people as I can to the functional patterns world. So that's going to be my goal moving forward.